I'm Jack Bouwmeester, and you're watching UteFans.net.
Welcome to another great episode of The Extra Point presented by UteFans.net. I'm joined by Cal the Rocket Beck, Freedom Bowl MVP, Robert Johnson, Sugar Bowl hero, Mark Oberg, UteFans.net legend, and one of the best punters the University of Utah has ever seen, Jack Bouwmeester. How you guys doing?
Doing all right. Question is, how are you, Jack?
Doing well. Very happy after the weekend's result. So ready to go against Baylor. So it's good fun.
Now, I've got to ask you, you got one opportunity to step on the field.
Yeah, technically two, but the other one got rubbed out. But I mean, the less amount of times I'm out there, it's usually a better thing. So I'm not too bad being on the sideline watching the boys dominate. So
that was my question: is you get one rep and you're happy with that, but the paradox that can create is the rest of the unit doesn't get their reps.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the way it goes. But I mean, like I said, if the offense is dominating, I'm pretty happy.
Well, I just thought I'd let all of our many fans know that, yes, we're doing a Zoom podcast today. We're going for kind of a hybrid thing this season. So you'll see us back up at the University Club, up at the stadium as well. We got to talk. Obviously, been waiting a long time for this first game that featured Cam Rising, Brant Keithy, a slew of new players. We trounced Southern Utah 49-0 in front of yet another sellout crowd. And we put up over 500 yards of offense, and everyone was waiting for one guy to appear on the field. It had been over 600 days since Cam Rising had taken a snap. The seventh-year senior and Heisman dark horse returned, threw for 254 yards, rushed for 25 yards, had 5 touchdown passes all in the first half, the most since Brian Johnson against San Diego State in 2008. How did it feel, Jack, to have Cam back on the field again?
It felt awesome. Like he's our leader, he's our guy. Everyone loves Cam. It's just refreshing to see him back out there. And everyone kind of gravitates towards him. So yeah, it was unreal seeing him back out there doing his thing, seeing the road he'd been through to get back to the field as well. Yeah, and Brant as well. Brant's a pivotal leader in our program, so it was great having those guys back out there.
Yeah, Brant Keithy returns and sets in his first game back. He set a Big 12 record with 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. So that's pretty impressive. How do we feel about Brant and Cam's performance, guys? What do you guys think about having these guys back on the field? Mark.
What do you think, Mark?
I think it spoke for itself. I mean, Cam brings a calm. His leadership is apparent. And he throws a really good ball on that wheel route to Dijon Stanley a couple of times. And I thought the first touchdown to Brant was also, a really nice play. He hesitated, let the play develop, waited till the pressure was on him, and then dumped it over the middle. So, yeah, great to have those guys back.
Rojo, what's your takeaway watching these guys play on the field again?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's exactly what Mark was saying. It's like, it's one of those we've been holding out and waiting for so long to try to see how this is going to turn out. Then all of a sudden, Cam came in, and his first couple of passes was a little bit, you can see it was a little bit off, but then once he started getting the rhythm and started getting back into it, it seemed like he haven't missed a beat. So I was really happy about that. And even though that was against, what was the team again?
The Utah Thunderbirds, the mighty Southern Utah Thunderbirds. Don't forget that, Rojo.
Right, the SUU, it's still a good performance to step out there and see that he still looked really, really good, and as well as those new weapons like Dejan, man. Like I play NCAA football, so I knew he was fast on the game, and I was like, it's just the game. But then watching him run those wheel routes and just leaving people, I'm like, man, he got breakaway speed. It's something that's different about him. And we haven't even seen some of the other key players. So this is nice. That's why I'm excited to see what Baylor is going to bring that next week.
And kudos to the OC for getting those mixed matches in the backfield for him for those wheel routes. There's not a linebacker in the country that's going to be able to stay with him on that type of a route when there's a quarterback that can get that ball there. Jack, I wanted to ask you, was the energy in the locker room different with Cam Rising running out the tunnel than it was last year?
I wouldn't say it was different. I mean, I think guys were pumped up just to get back on the field. You know what first games are like. As fun as they are as well, it's always good to get them out of the way because as many scrimmages as you have, it's nothing like pads are popping against an opposition. So I'd say the energy was probably different, but I wouldn't say like people were more pumped up to be out there. It was just another first game. And yeah, you kind of prepare for whatever opposition's in front of you. So Southern Utah comes to town, you prepare for Southern Utah. You don't really look too far ahead. So
being an established player, veteran on the team, do you still sprint down the tunnel?
yeah, of course. No, that tunnel walk's never gonna get old. It's unreal.
So
It's
I
one of
got
the most exciting things as a fan to watch, and as a player, I had to watch myself because I would end up out sprinting the cheerleaders down the tunnel. I was just so excited. And I know that the real veterans walk in the back because they have to go immediately to the sideline and start checking in with the coaches for the game plan. Isn't that right, Rojo?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm walking out. Let y'all have the fun. I'm saving energy.
You safeties.
Yeah.
You safeties. Jack, can you talk to us about JT Greep and Becker for a minute? They were 6 for 6 on extra points, consistent as always. The special teams units performed very well, although there were limited reps. You guys excited to match up on the specialties against Baylor?
Yeah, very excited. Cole and JT, it's our second year working together fully. And we just feel like we try and get better and better every game. So Cole's a sneaky kicker, man. He's very accurate, just low key. He doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, I think. And JT, he's been my snapper since I got here. He's always accurate. Can trust him a lot. And yeah, we've got a great unit. And we just got a new special teams analyst, Jake Cookus from Oregon State. So he's been looking after us. And he's been really good for me, just personally, just mentally, talking through punts, working with Cole, working with JT. We just try and get better every year. So it's been good.
I got a question, Jack. We talked about this on the phone yesterday briefly. Walk us through that running into the kicker penalty, or running into the punter penalty. What happened there? Because the fans sure want to know.
Well, we have a thing if Southern Utah was in safe, right? So it means they're not gonna rush. They don't want a fake run against them. So
they're looking for maximum return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Coach Witt's philosophy is basically if they're in safe, you just hold it till they come to you. Like make them come and get you. Let Zamaya get down the field so they can catch it inside the 10. So I was just holding it, and that guy kind of came out of nowhere. But I mean, the kick still got off. But yeah, he ran into me, and I mean, we got the ball back. So at the end of the day, it's all good. But yeah, Coach Witt's kind of philosophy is hold it until they come after you, basically, if they're in that kind of safe mode.
Make them commit upfield before you let that ball go down. The cover guys get more yardage downfield, make it easier to hem in the returner. That's a football IQ play right there.
So they say a second in your hand is better than a second in the air.
It's well put.
Yeah.
Well put. And as a former returner, I hated that concept because you want to be able to field that ball in the air. Jack, again, thank you for coming on, especially on a busy Sunday. And one of the longer Sundays we have. I just have one more question for you. Was there anything in the offseason that you were focusing on to improve your kicking game?
This year, I just really trying to hone in on directional, like spirals. And then flexibility was a big one for me this year, which is overlooked sometimes, just just to be able to go through the season, keep your same leg swing, and yeah, so flexibility and directional punting were big ones this year.
And it appears that you have been extremely successful. Thank you for that, sir.
No worries. Hopefully have a good year. I'm excited, so excited to watch everyone go play again. So,
I've got a question
an
for-
NFL hopeful, Jack Bouwmeester. Hey, so I got to mention a couple of things. I don't think there's ever been a more exciting time to watch Utah football in these last couple of years. I'm sure you guys agree. Robert might disagree with 2008. Oh, and then Cal.
I'm going to disagree.
1994. And just in terms of our continuity on the field and the kind of players we're bringing up and the competition the level of competition we're at, pretty exciting. A couple of Rose Bowls. We got some newcomers this year. One of the most highly touted players that we had coming in was Isaac Wilson. How do we feel about him and his performance this last game?
I think Isaac got the time that he was allocated. I think that might have been accelerated a little bit by Rising taking off and running a little bit too much, I thought. But I think they decided with the lead they had at the half, might as well give Isaac plenty of snaps, and looks like he probably learned some lessons, and I think he'll probably be a better quarterback because of that. But
I get my input on him in the first segment we did, so I don't think I have to continue on that one.
Well, I mean, for me, Isaac did a wonderful job for stepping in and just getting some live reps. His first pass was the interception, which was coincidental because I think I remember back then Peyton Manning's very first pass was the interception. I'm not trying to say he's Peyton Manning, but what I'm trying to say is that it's a good high ceiling with that one. But no, Isaac played really good, and giving him that shot and like giving us fans the opportunity to just see him out there, that's always something that's like very, very good for us fans to see it. And nothing against Cam Rising, but it was a lot more people that was excited about Isaac getting on the field and seeing how that goes. And I understand why, maybe because in the past, with Rising, he's a no holds bar. He's going to go do what he has to do, and he gets injured sometimes, which is scary. But now we know that we have like some depth that's at quarterback for just in case. But it was still really good that he stepped out there and did what he had to do, have some fun.
Apparently, he really won the trust of his teammates in the offseason and fall camp. I mean, he was the clear number 2. He beat out some other guys, so we're expecting a lot from him. Obviously, his brother was a great player as well at the team down south, so big expectations for him. As far as the SUU game goes, it looks like we played a pretty close to perfect game on offense, defense, special teams. You guys have any final thoughts for this segment before we move on?
Jack, thanks again very, very much. I have to ask, were you rooting more for the Australian swim team in the Olympics or for the Americans?
I was absolutely copying it. We have an athletic trainer in the facility and he's heavily into it. So every day I was getting the updates. And I'm pretty safe to say, I think we wiped the floor with you guys. So I said to him, swimming's really our only sport. Like once swimming goes away, I think the Americans probably take the cake with athletics and all the other sports. So that was our
feel the
little
pressure. That's why we're bringing
fame.
in flag football.
Yeah. That's going to be an interesting one.
Thanks again, Jack.
Well, cool. No, Jack, thanks for coming on. We'll be right back after a few messages.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks for having me, guys.
The Ken Garff University Club in Rice Eccles Stadium is Utah's premier social club. Members enjoy incredible dining experiences, co-working spaces, exclusive member events, and fun game experiences like tailgating, pep rallies, and watch parties. Membership starts as low as $80 a month and is actively accepting new memberships. To learn more about joining this beautiful club, go to kengarfuniversityclub.com to learn more.
Welcome back, Ute fans. I'm joined by Cal Beck, Robert Johnson, and Mark Oberg. We just wanted to touch on the SUU game a little bit more. Cal, what do you think about what happened as far as injuries are concerned in this game and how it bodes for the rest of the season?
We had 2 go down. We had Keenan Johnson in the defensive backfield go down, which is a huge impact. They've already said that he's not going to be recovered. Both injuries won't be recovered enough to play with play against Baylor. The other one being Akili Vimahi. These are starters. They're in the rotation. There's going to have to be some major moves in the depth chart to cover that. But it doesn't sound like it's season ending, but we won't know until they finish the eval over the weekend. I was happy to see that next man up mentality was there, but it produces a pit in my stomach, just like the 4 times Cam Rising decided to rush the ball in the game. It stole the air out of the stadium because it's too close to our hearts. And reminiscent of what happened last year, we don't want the injury bug. And it's still a sore spot, specifically when Cam's rushing the ball.
Mark, what do you think?
Feel the same way about those injuries. I was interested to see who would step up, who's the twos in the backfield. And so far it's Scooby Davis, but I'm hearing some rumors that Calhoun is on the mend. I thought he showed really well in the spring game. So it'll be interesting to see how Sharif handles, who's playing where. I mean, if need be, they can move Teo Johnson back over to corner. He can easily play that. But we shall see. And up front inside with Vimahi, I'm also interested to see who plugs that gap, who's the two at one of those D tackles. But overall, I thought, it was a game 1. Get some of the bugs worked out, get ready for game 2. You just have to take it game by game. That's one of the lessons of football.
Yeah, and just to home in on that too as well. I mean, exactly what Kyle and Mark said is just like, who do we have that's going to play those positions? But we have a lot of depth always at D lineman. It's just one of those things. We always have depth, but having that impact player can change up everything. So missing out on our corner, he's who knows? Like we can't say like yes he's fully done, but he's getting everything checked today from what I've heard. And Teo Johnson could be a possibility of moving the corner. Like I mean we have enough depth at safeties, and the safety play, is definitely. I'm not saying it's like bad, but it's not like super great either. And if you have 2 corners that's really good, they can protect the safeties that might not be as advanced. So we're gonna see how this all turn out because it's scary. Just like what Kyle was saying, it's very scary knowing that the very first game, your 2 starting players are gone, best players, not impact players. Let's say that impact players are gone, and then we jumping right into Baylor, even though that's not Big 12. Baylor is a good opponent. So we're going to see how it turns out because the defense played really good, but we have to remember it's SUU. It's not like, I mean, they did what they're supposed to do. We put up a 0, a donut, so that's all that matters.
That's the thing I have with these first games of the season. I mean, you're picking a fight with Pee Wee Herman. You're supposed to be dominant. And it's hard to gauge the efficiency and the effectiveness of return players when there's a reason why we have these games. I'm not bagging on it. And unfortunately, in the next couple of years, with Whittingham's fortune telling, these games will disappear. We won't play Southern or Weber or probably Utah State anymore. So I appreciate seeing those games. But with those injuries going down to the defensive backfield, it's hard because we weren't challenged vertically. Smith Snowden stepped in beautifully from his nickel spot. I mean, local product from Sky Ridge High. That was very exciting to see. And then personally for me, Nate Ritchie stepping in at safety. That's my boy. He played well. He's experienced. So the depth chart's there, but we have experienced what happens when the depth chart runs out and there is no next man up. And it was that pit in my stomach, just like every time Cam ran the ball, the 4 rushes he had, it was like, ooh, do we have to do this? Defensively, we have to find those fills in that. Another beautiful fill that I saw, the Fanos, Logan and Spencer. I'm curious, who played better? Logan on the edge or Spencer at tackle? Because he moved over to right tackle and we've been waiting for Logan to come back. What did you guys see?
I like Logan. Oh, sorry to cut you off, Mark. I like Logan. Logan is, man, he's an impact. Like he's a weapon. And like we always figure out a way to have a D lineman that can get to the quarterback. Like it's just crazy how we always find something like that.
Yeah. I thought Logan looks like he's recovered. His injury was early enough last year that he looks recovered and making a difference at D end. Good and quick. out there. And then his brother Spencer moved over to the right tackle with Caleb Lomu, now the starting left tackle. I think, Jim Harding always finds a way to get his O-line improving through the season, and I expect to see that. I think they'll clean some things up and get some execution better. Not that it was horrible, but it was the first game, and you expect a little bit of roughness.
Well, and Jim Harding's had that job for, what's it been, 10 years now, for a reason, So we have a lot of confidence in him and his ability. Robert, what were you going to say?
I would say we normally like play down to whatever competition, whatever team we play against, and to see that we didn't play down against SUU for the first game, that's a highlight to me. That's like really big because we normally play so flat line against teams that we should be dominating. So to see that we dominated SUU was really good to kind of see it that way.
Did the rushing game reflect that, Phil, as well?
Mm-hmm.
Violent enough on the offensive line. That's one thing that we've had concerns or been looking for that growth is the attack and the attitude of the offensive line. I expected to see it overflowing against SUU. But it's the first game. They're young, the new positions. I hope that they continue to find that traction and forge forward because it all starts up in the trenches.
So we really covered the SUU game.
Not Isaac.
Oh, well, we touched on him a little bit. It's his first highly anticipated game. He won, like we said in the last segment, he earned the respect and trust of his teammates, and obviously we knew we were going to see him in this game. What do you think, Cal, about his first few steps on Rice Eccles Field?
I think it was buddy ball. I think the coaches put him in at number 2 because he's a transfer threat. I mean, I have to wonder that at this point in the game with kids being able to transfer out, and you look at the way that the recruiting happened with his brother, they might be a little sensitive of if we don't designate him as number 2, even if he's not ready, he's going to be looking to skip town. His performance was slow reads. The ball was overthrown. I'm not saying he's not ready for the level, but I think it looked like throwing a lamb to the lions initially because he seemed kind of out of step. That will obviously come with experience, but there's a big raise from going even a Corner Canyon state champion to Big 12 football. He's got the skill set, it's there. But now I'm starting to wonder, are the coaches strategically doing the depth chart to give kids a hook for them not to be looking at the transfer portal, especially when the money's on the line?
Well, I mean, I wonder how many games can you play before you get redshirted? Like, just wondering about that. Like, oh, you can play 3 games?
I want to say it's 3.
I mean, it's one of those things that the goal is not to let Cam Rising get injured. That's the goal. But then we always got to make sure we have in case. And this year, compared to last year, we have a good in case. I feel like he could do better than what our pig farmer did last year if he have to step into the rings of like, I have to take over. I think that he can handle himself a little bit better than what he could. But once again, that shortens our playbook, which shortens the players that we have, which shortens the scoring. And it's a domino effect once you look at that offense and see that if we got to shorten that playbook like we did last year, it becomes a defensive game of like, can we score on defense to win the games that we need?
And it was a very vanilla playbook.
Yes, it was.
I mean, we can expect that in the first week, especially against SUU. They're not going to tip their playbook hand. We've seen that year after year under Kyle and previously. I mean, the playbook was about as exciting as discovering that every first down is still sponsored by Ivory Homes. I mean, at some point you get to it, you're like, come on, can we move on? But that's one of the frustrating things about being a fan. I don't know if the playbook allowed a lot of the players to showcase their skill set, which next week, hopefully they open it up a little bit more.
So any other thoughts as far as this first game against SUU, which, obviously our easiest game of the year, really hard to tell, how good we are from this game. But looking forward this next week to Baylor next Saturday afternoon, what do we expect?
I expect a knockdown, drag-out fight. They're still probably angry about last year. Coach is on the hot seat. I mean, every coach is on the hot seat every year at this point, the way that the game's built. and they're traveling on the road. Their offense is totally revamped. They're an air attack now. I wish we were playing them at night, because if you saw the look on Caleb Williams' face when they interviewed him and asked him about playing at Utah, the look on his face and the speechlessness said it all. It's a different environment, but we do have the altitude. It's not going to be as muggy as it was last year. I think we're set up for success against Baylor. This is a statement game, and we don't drop the ball on statement games because we are a blue collar, knock you in the face and see where it goes type of team. And we're going to answer that bell.
Mark.
Yeah. I agree with Cal. I think, we're going to make some adjustments. There's a big leap between the first game and the second game, typically in execution, and we've got to have it because it's a big jump up. Baylor's they're going to be determined after what happened last year, and Aranda's on the hot seat. So, yeah, I expect us to come out crisper, look better. I think a statement game is accurate at this point, but if we win this one, then every game becomes a statement game. You just have to take care of business, but it's 1 week at a time.
My guess is that the spread will open up at 14.5 for Utah. Does that sound good to you guys?
9.5.
Yeah, I'd go with lower, probably 9.5, 8.5, maybe.
Even at home, even at Rice Eccles Stadium, at altitude against a team that we're probably better than them. We're thinking less than 10 points, huh?
The odds makers seem to treat us like the national media in the dark horse Heisman race, which Cam Rising is a part of. We, unfortunately, being a bubble team for the BCS finale, if we lose one game, then all the media doubts us. And there goes Cam's chance at even being mentioned in the Heisman Trophy case. But if you're talking about another high-power offense like Georgia or another SEC high-ranking or even a Big Ten, they lose one game, their quarterbacks are not out of it. We still are trying to earn the national respect, which was showcased on ESPN when they asked who's going to win the conference, and 4 out of the 5 panelists picked Utah. But then when they said who has the most percentage probability of being successful in the Big 12, they all changed their votes. So there's some people that still want to give us lip service, but not back it up until we continually run the table for some reason.
Rojo, what do you think?
I mean, to me, I don't even look at Heisman race for us because I always feel like they're always doubting us, but then it's always somebody that's stopping it. This game against Baylor is going to be big for Cam Rising. Like last year, Baylor got backups, and the backups did really well. We won the game. This year, we're finally going to have our starting quarterback as well as our starting tight end. I think that's going to change a lot. That's going to change the dynamic of the scorings. Like I was mentioning earlier, the scoring points. I feel like we can score points. Now, Baylor got a quarterback that's legit. Like he's a triple threat. He can run and pass. And then on top of that, they got this one receiver. He had this crazy catch on the sideline. I think he went number 6. I can't remember, but he's a really good player as well. And knowing that we don't have our starting cornerback, I wonder how we're going to match up against this weapon that they have, because this weapon is legit. Like this receiver that they have, he's him. That's what I would say. He's a good player. From that very first game and watching what he done during that game, I was like, they got some good weapons. So we're going to see how this game turn out. But I really believe in my heart that everybody's going to watch this game and going to see exactly where we at, because SUU is SUU. Baylor, they're not a SUU. That's all I can say. They're not. So.
Well, great. Yeah, I think we've had a good show. Do we have any final thoughts about what's coming up next for the Utes, or we want to roll
How
this
did
thing
y'all feel
out?
about Loner? Any surprises there?
I'm a little bit surprised that he jumped up the depth chart and got a throw for a touchdown. Especially for a kid that's been, I guess he hasn't played football since the 8th grade. I mean, he's definitely built for it, and sounds like he's picking things up pretty well. I'm excited to see what happens. especially since he's from the Baylor area. That's where he grew up. He's a Texas kid.
It'll be exciting to see him work into that buddy ball rotation with Rising and Keithy. I would hope that we show more vertical threats and not be counting on the mismatches for the passing game. But if we can get that post in, that post curl, that out from the tight end clicking again with Rising and Keithy, and then have that dual threat on both sides of the formation, the world will be that offensive. It will be the offense's oyster. I mean, the world will be at their feet. But it's just a matter of our identity. Did we establish our identity in the first game? I don't think so. But I don't think we needed to. I don't think we needed to.
Yeah, because I'm excited to see what Singer, our receiver,
Yeah.
he's fast now. He's super fast. Now I'm wondering how we're going to use him. And my mind went to like, okay, I played with Andy Reid as my Andy Reid. I played with Coach Ludwig as my offensive coordinator, and we had a really special player that's exactly the same size as Singer, and I feel like they do the exact same thing. We had David Reed. Now, David Reed was a weapon that he was fast, he can get open, but like Coach Ludwig figured out a way to like give him yak yards, or yards after catch. It's like throw something short and see what happens, or just throw a fade up and see what happens, a streak. I think Singer's going to be the same way. We're going to figure out how to plug him into the offense, because the way that I'm looking at our team, we have never really had this much speed like all together on offense all at one time, which I know that our offense is not a stretch to field type of offense, but I really believe those yak yards might start changing to really, really big plays. And I don't think Singer is it Dorian Singer?
Dorian Singer, yeah.
Yeah, number 3. I just know that he didn't really ball out the way that I was thinking, because the playbook wasn't opened up yet. But I know he's gonna have a big piece of that yards after catch that Coach Ludwig loves. I can see that happening where we had Keithy kind of stretch in the middle, and then we still have the outsides that's gonna run some short routes, and then like that mismatch that we have with Dejan. Oh my God, like he's not even a starter. Once we sit here and talk about it, he's not. It's like, well, we got 3 running backs. We have Glover, that's pretty solid. We have Bernard, that's like the starter. And then like Dejan is just like, he's just speed. It's just crazy how fast he is.
And on top of that speed, you have Pittman and Zipper.
Yeah, Zipper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about Zipper. Yeah, that's another one. See, so I think our offense is, I think we still testing it out. Exactly what you said, Kyle. We're not opening up the playbook yet. We just want to see, because we haven't identified what we are on offense. We don't know if we're power, speed. We don't know what we don't know what we're going to do yet. But having that main piece, which is Rising, it just changes up. It opens up the doors for all type of different things that we could do.
I think a bad moon will be rising next Saturday in Rice Eccles against Baylor. I honestly think that the seats will look like the 85th consecutive sellout. I don't know how they claim that it happened on Thursday, because of the look at the seats, it was nowhere near a
It was
sell.
no one. Yeah, I said the same thing.
Count attendance, not tickets sold.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, how great was it to see the enshrinement of the Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see Alex too. He deserved it, man. Everything he done a lot for the program.
If there was one person that I would like to see go up number 1 in that Ring of Honor, it's that man right there.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, what he did beyond the college game, because we know what happened in the NFL, but he was a major catalyst of, like Andy likes to put it, one of the funnest teams to watch, or program, the series or years to watch this program develop. It was a great honor to see him out there. It put a smile on my face, and to see how many little kids could identify or were happy to be a part of that chapter in Rice Eccles. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, great show, guys. Thanks for showing up. You fans, stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more episodes this season. We'll have some here on Zoom and some in person as well up at the stadium. So we're very excited about that. We've got a team that most people seem to think has a good shot of making a deep run in the playoffs. So we'll all be waiting to see what happens there. But with that said, thanks for watching. Go Utes.
Jay Hill, get better, sir. Go Utes.